two hair transplants. Is that right?
Exactly, yes.
Let's start from the very beginning. Tell me how you noticed and how that felt.
So when I noticed that I was losing my hair, I was actually 21, 22 years old. So I realized that my hair was in the front was getting curlier. And I was like, what happened to my hair? I didn't carry it consciously with me through the day, but I felt something was not right. My hair was always like a part of my identity. I loved it because it was like a symbol for youth for me. So that was like a shock.
Okay, so you first noticed it going frizzy, maybe a bit curly, and you noticed that you were losing it. When do you feel like it really became a problem for you?
At 25, I couldn't look at myself anymore because I was like, oh my God, how can I look like this? It was such a shock for me. Nobody really mentioned it. Everybody was saying, yeah, it's fine, it's fine. The family members, they never really tell you the truth. I like to do like immediate action. The only really solution for me always was hair transplants. I
Mm.
never saw like shampoos or anything else as a solution because I knew if you want to have something sustainable or long lasting, you have to go to a hair transplant.
I see. You felt like it really became a problem about 25 years old, and you said
Mm.
there you struggled to even look at how it looked in the mirror. Before you got the hair transplant, were you trying to do other things to cover the balding or to hide it away at all?
I actually started wearing caps or baseball hats. That was the first thing I did. And even if I had like a shirt on, or even if I had like something really nice, I
Mm.
wanted so bad to have my hat on my head. So it was always like an escape for me. That was what I did to actually cover it up. So what I also did is I bust my head because I was really sick of it. I was like, okay, come on, just shave it off. And obviously that was many, many years ago. I didn't have a problem with shaving my head. That was never the problem for me actually. But before I was like, I don't really want that. It's just like a solution to not show the hair loss so area.
So you're wearing a lot of hats, and then you were also buzzing it to try to maybe put it out of sight, out of mind type
Yes,
thing.
yes.
So what
Yeah.
was the next step on your journey then? You then went to a hair transplant doctor?
Yes, exactly. So the first time I went to Turkey, it was a very small clinic, but they actually did a really good job. But what I want to say here, what I think is really, really important for people listening to this episode is if you go to a hair transplant doctor, I got like a letter where they explained the Norwood scale, which you can see how severe is your hair loss. So mine was pretty severe actually because I had hair loss from here until the end of my crown area. But they didn't really warn me. They didn't really say to me like, "Oh, maybe you shouldn't do that hair transplant." I mean, obviously they make money, but they also didn't want to, I think, disappoint me and say to me like, "Okay, go back to Switzerland. So you came here for nothing." That would be a very good advice for people who are actually thinking about something long term. And then I got the hair transplant there. They transplanted, I think, 5,000 grafts in one sitting, and that
Mm.
was like
That's a lot,
hour
right?
of
Yeah,
that's
that's a lot.
so that's long, man. I was there from I think 6 p.m. until midnight. I
Wow.
was in, yeah, it was exhausting. I couldn't do it anymore. It started to hurt. They pumped medication into it and so on. So they said like, okay, if you put the hairline too much, like in on front, you are going to lose hair here. So we are just going to distribute the hair over the top of your head. So they did actually a decent job. So yeah, after that, I was really happy. And as you know, 25 at the time, and I was still losing hair. So at the first 1 or 2 years, it was perfect for me. I enjoyed it. And then afterwards, it
Okay.
got like the same.
You said there about the advice. So obviously you based on a relative's recommendation at
Yeah.
25, they said, "Hey, go to Turkey, go to this clinic," and you went. But what you're saying is actually your hair loss was all over the, it wasn't just a bit at the front, it was quite
Yes.
all over. Therefore, you're saying that due to that hair loss and only being 25, you're technically weren't the best candidate
No.
for a hair transplant, right?
That's a really good point, and I wanted to mention that because I think a lot of people listening and they want to do hair transplant maybe, or they think about it. So that's a really good point. I wasn't really the best candidate. I always, if people come to me like friends and family members and they ask me, should I do a hair transplant? And then I tell them, okay, if you have just like hair loss on front, you are basically the best candidate to do one. There are other factors. I mean, I was very lucky because I have thick hair, I have dark hair, and I have wavy hair. So this all helps to cover most of it up, you know. That was my advantage at the time.
Just so that we're at the right point on the timeline, you said
Mhm.
before you got the first hair transplant, you had been on the medication for about 1.5 years, you
Yeah,
said.
yeah, not so long. Yeah. I think maybe I was 18 years old.
Okay.
A doctor told me, it was like, okay, take the finasteride and it will help.
How many years did you take the medication for?
Just, I think, maximum of 2 years.
Okay. For those 2 years, do you think that it stopped the hair loss?
No, they were not satisfying.
Okay.
Actually, they were not satisfying, and also the side effects. I'm not a doctor, I'm not an expert on this, but I was like, okay, no, I'm so young. I don't want to. If I mean, if even if the chance is just 2% or 1 or 0.1, I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
But it didn't work either, so I
Yeah.
just yeah, stopped it.
Makes sense. So 25, you get the first hair transplant, 5,000 grafts, and the first 1 to 2 years were satisfying. When did that begin to change for you?
I was so, how do you say, euphoric about the transplant and having hair again. I didn't really see like that my hairline was really high because I always thought of a hair transplant of something like, okay, you get your hair back like it was when you was 18. So I thought like it's going to be my dream head of hair, you know, everything's going to be perfect because nobody told me that it wasn't possible. So I just went in with that thought. But after that, in 2022, I noticed again that my hair is falling out, you know, on top of my head and also my crown area. So I thought like, okay, I should maybe do one to lower my hairline and also to fill up the crown area. So that was my initial goal to achieve with the second hair transplant. Yes.
So 25 years old was the first hair transplant.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
old were you when you got the second hair transplant?
That was 3 years later, 28. Yeah.
28. Okay.
Yes.
And that was because although it had filled in nicely, you felt like you wanted a lower hairline and to fill
Yes, yes,
in
exactly.
more hair that you'd lost at the crown.
Yes, exactly. That was
See.
my goal. And I was like, okay, the crown area is going to be difficult because I saw a lot of people, they had the same issue and they never got their crown area filled. I was aware of that, but the only thing I wanted was just to lower my hairline because I just wanted to look like, again, like 20 or 21, you know, that was
Yeah.
just the dream.
Did you go to a different clinic for the second hair transplant?
Yes, the second one was actually in Switzerland where I live.
That was at 28 years old. So tell me
Yeah.
about the results and everything from that second hair transplant.
What I first want to say, I think it's very important, is in my consultation in this clinic, they didn't really give me a lot of information about this. They didn't inform me about, hey, look, it's your second hair transplant. You have hair in your donor area. We can use it. But they never said to me, like, if we take another 3 or 4 thousand, you could never wear a shortcut, you know.
Mm,
They never told me that. Actually, they told me while I was in the surgery, midst of the surgery, the women working there, they told me, you better never, you know, buzz your head because it's not going to work for you. And I was like, oh, it can't be that bad, you know. And they took like 3,000 or 4,000 grafts. So I totally taken from my donor area over like 9,000 grafts, I think, over
yeah.
2 hair transplants. And that was too much. And they never said that to me. So actually, after the hair transplant, I was again really satisfied with it, with the result, because at the beginning, my hairline was so much lower than the first time. It was like a dream because I thought that, oh, okay, that's the perfect. Now I don't need anything anymore. It's done, you know. It healed good. And actually, what the only thing that I noticed was that really bothered me was the donor area. It was so severe that I couldn't really wear anything short. I had to wear it long. And even if I had longer hair on the back of my head, you can tell, you know, you can tell there was something done. So
Mm,
the only time that I really could cover it was when I had like really long hair and I had like a man bun.
I
Then I
see.
could cover it, obviously. Otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. So this is because you've had sort of around 9,000 grafts taken out of the donor area. Is it a combination of some scarring and the lack of hair follicles there now?
Exactly, that's what it is. Exactly. I can feel the little bumps, you know. It's not really pleasant and
Mm.
it's really bothered me for a long time. And I also, yeah, I always had to wear my hair longer so to cover it. Yeah.
Okay. This is really good that I think that you're, sharing these details of things,
Yeah.
because I will say I do get a lot of messages from men who have had hair transplants and they are wanting to just say, okay, I'm done with this now. I just want to shave my head and move and
Yes.
totally move on from worrying about
Mm.
balding or how it's looking. Of course, as we're going to get onto your story here, maybe they're worrying, okay, how's it going to look? Not only how's my shaved head going to look, but the fact I've had a hair transplant as well. How's that going to look? And talk to me then, because you obviously you had the lower hairline now. You were quite satisfied with the results. When did it shift for you from this is a dream to okay, I'm not sure about this now?
I learned to deal with the problems that I had in my donor area. And I also have like a spot here, which
Mm,
was not filled with grafts because they told me you have to wear it longer so you can cover this spot. So the thing was, it's so ridiculous. I was spending so much time and so much energy just to think about how to cover this spot, how to cover the thinning here, which occurred like 3 years after the second transplant, and how to cover the donor area. So it's just ridiculous to think about how much energy you waste. I was wasting to cover everything up. And what I noticed was always in the pictures also that after the second heart transplant, it was so difficult to have like a good style because it was so different. In one picture, under the light, direct light, I looked like I was bald.
mm.
But in other pictures or videos, it looked like I had a full head of hair. It was so confusing. Yeah, last year I noticed that here the thinning goes on because the remaining hair or the hair that I had on top of my head, they're falling out more and more. So now I have thick hair here, thin hair here.
Right.
I was just because I have thick hair and dark hair, I could cover it up, just brush it maybe over and create the illusion that I have a full head of hair. And even my friends, if they see me, they was like, "Oh man, your hairline looks
A
perfect."
lot of
Yeah.
energy just to really focus and worry about covering
Yes.
certain areas. Because at that point, maybe some people would think, what do I do now? Do I go for a third hair transplant? What were your thoughts at this point then?
Actually, a great question because in psychology, they say if you invest in something, you want to invest even more just to prove a point, just to say that I did the best decision, to prove it to yourself. So I was like, okay, I'm now so deep into this.
Mm.
I'm going for the third one. The thing was, after that, every time I saw my donor area, I was like, no. What are you even thinking about? And then it was like summer 2025. I was like really thinking about it all the time. I was like, okay, what should I do? Should I now, shave it all off? And then 2026, at the birthday party of the sister of my friend, I saw the picture. The light was shining directly on my head, and I really looked bald. I was like, no, come on. That's now it's over. I don't want to go through all these surgeries. People talk on the internet like it's nothing, but that's not true. You were there, you're getting the anesthesia, you're getting all these painful things getting done, and then you spend 5 days sleeping in a sitting position, and then you 2 months or 3 months worrying about your hair. When is it coming out?
Mm.
Is it coming out good? What are the coworkers going to say? What are, family members going to say? Because it doesn't look really that pleasing in the first like 2 or 3 months.
At this point, you saw a picture there that you said. Before we get onto the moment where you obviously kind of shave it and decide that, this is where hair loss really impacts life. Things like
Mhm.
the mental energy, just spending so much time and energy worrying about how it's looking. How can I cover this? How can I disguise this? What are people going to think? I can't share this picture. Like, what if people see this? They think I look
Mhm.
ridiculous. Were there other ways it was impacting you like that?
Yes, I think very important to say here is that no matter where I was, like in the workplace, in the gym, in family gatherings, and I was always thinking about it. Always, it was so distracting for me. It was really distracting because I couldn't really sit still and concentrate on the things that I wanted to have done. Obviously, that doesn't mean that I didn't do anything, in
Mm.
life. So it's just that you have just one more weight to carry. It's just extra weight you're carrying for nothing. So I was always thinking about it, always fixing it. If I walked by a mirror, I was always checking my hair. Always. One point I was like, is that not just a distraction? Because I think I can achieve something with my hair. If my hair looks good, I can achieve something as if it was a skill, but it is not a skill, actually. I mean, of course, there are male models and everything, and people who are rely on their looks and their hair maybe for the industry. But I was like, it just distracts me for bettering my skills and getting better in things that really matter, because there are a lot of other things for men that we have to work on. Why do we have to keep us distracted with something that just grows on our hair? And
Right.
if it falls out, it falls out. So it is what it is.
I'm just going to shave this. When did you start to have that thought?
The picture on the birthday party was the final, like, final piece that was missing to shave it completely off. If someone took a picture of me, I didn't want to look at it. It's so painful to say, but I was hoping that my hair looked good. Oh my God, what if it doesn't look good? And someone shares, and so these kind of things. And every time I thought this kind of thoughts, I said to myself, what are you doing, man? Are you okay? Like, what? Is that so important? Why are you caring? I mean, you did so much, you achieved so much in your life. Why is that so important to you? I remember that every time before, like 10 years ago, when I also had like a buzz cut or a shaved head, I would say in my lifetime about 4 or 5 buzz cuts. So before, I mean, it looked good on me. People would told me, it suits you, but it was always the kind of thought that it has a link to the youth, a symbol of youth to have hair. And I was so into this, and also society, because if you shave your head, people, they're not shocked because in a negative way, but they see you, and the energy is just like, you can't lie, it's, you look at the guy and he has a bald head, and like it's a will, it's a strong will to do that. Actually, it signals something. And
Mhm.
maybe I was scared of that. Maybe I was scared of being actually strong. It's a very interesting topic. So I always thought about it, actually, but maybe it's just the marketing of those companies who do hair transplants, where I get caught because they sold like a dream, or you can have a full head of hair like you were 18. So yeah, maybe I was just buying too much into that.
Yeah, so there was
Mhm.
some like conflict in your thoughts, but
Mm,
a lot of time worrying about it, and you were
yeah.
really battling with it. Sat here rocking the buzz cut, looking good, I
Yeah,
must
man, thank
say.
you.
What was that sort of defining moment then when you said, okay, I need to make a change here? I'm not going to go for the third hair transplant. I'm going to go the other way.
It was actually something really deep happened.
Mm,
Actually realizing that I was a lot on my phone and on social media, like a long screen time. I was obviously working also and building my business, but I realized that I lost a little bit of the touch of my nature. I realized that I have to go more in nature, the long walks in the forest. I started a new hobby, which is photography for now. I try to spend time with myself, and not look at other people always constantly thinking about other things, I was just with myself. And in that moment where I had the reset, so to say, then came the realization, because then the fear also went away. But before that, I was also constantly thinking about other things, distracted. But when I really started to reset myself, to be less on the phone, to be more in nature, to be more with myself, to training harder again in the gym, to getting my nutrition right. I just wanted to be strong, I don't want to have these feelings that I had with covering it up or spending energy on it. I was like, I don't want all that stuff. I just want to be free. And after that, the realization came to me, okay, that's the next big step. And also in that process, I was watching a lot of videos
mm.
from Baldcafe. So thanks to you, Harry, I felt so great watching these people, shaving their head and sitting there and talking with. I was like, wow, this is amazing. It's really inspiring. And the people, they're so free. After you can see it in their eyes in the videos, even
Yeah.
if you're not in person with them, it's.
You said about the marketing and things like that, being on social media, seeing all these things. Oh, you have to look a certain way. You need
Yeah.
hair, this, so
Mhm.
much noise going on. And then actually, when you took a step back and you really got more in tune with how you feel about yourself, you were like, okay, I need to free myself from these thoughts of, constantly worrying about the The hair. I mean, I think it's incredible. You took the leap, as we always call it. Tell me how it actually happened.
I ordered a shaver, and I was like, okay, I'm now going to order this product, and now I'm going to just shave my head off. It was a very weird feeling because sometimes I was shaking just thinking about it. You know, that time when I was waiting for the shaver to arrive, waiting, and I was thinking about, okay, now I have to do it. So do you want to really do that? I was constantly worrying and thinking, and still then, I mean, I was going through such a lot of things, and again, thinking about too much. And then, I called my mom. I was like, okay, I'm going to shave my head.
Yeah.
She was like, what? Why? You had two hair transplants. Your hair looks good. Don't you think? I was like, no, I want fresh. I want to look it fresh. I want to have like a fresh cut and a new start. And then I was in the shower, like in the bathroom. And I was like, okay, just maybe don't go for a complete bald, like a zero. Just
Mhm.
maybe go for a 10.
Okay, yeah.
Just put the guard on, shaved, and I was like, no. And then five, and then four, and three, and it was so weird, man. I was like, okay, now it's time. And then I grabbed the shaver, and then I
Mm.
shaved it completely and zero. And I was in the bathroom, and I was looking at myself in the mirror, and was like, okay, now you did it. It felt so weird. First, I felt like I was actually, it wasn't real because it's a bold decision. Even for me, a lot of people they say, how can you do that? It's very bold, it takes a lot of courage and everything. But even for me, that shaved, because I said I shaved my head prior to that, but still, it was still every time it's a decision that takes a lot of courage to do it. But afterwards, you look yourself in the mirror and it's like you see a new person, a new human being looking at you. And I was like, wow, I had to get used to it. And I immediately posted a picture on social media, on my
Mm.
Instagram. I mean, I was so proud of it. I don't know, I liked how it looked. And so, yeah. Mm.
Excellent. So you went through with it, you liked how it looked, and you felt like a different person, a new person. Obviously, I think
Yeah.
great thing to do. I've even got a passage in my book about once you do it, just got to get out there, post it on social
Yeah.
media, show friends,
Yeah.
FaceTime some people to kind of really round everything off. Tell me, yeah,
Yes.
how that's been feeling.
I feel automatically just more courageous. I feel more confident. I just feel more like I'm myself again. If I'm going for a walk, the memories come back and I feel like I feel like I'm really like that young again. It's so weird what it does to you. The feeling is just unbelievable in the gym. I have so much energy. It's unbelievable. Really. And I'm there and looking at myself, at the mirror in the gym, and I look so different. I look so, I don't know, so masculine and so strong. And it's really beautiful to see. And also to let that go. It's not, I think people can sense it in your aura, so to
Mm.
say. People can sense it. They look at you differently. And also the women, it's an interesting thing, but they also look at you very, very differently. I think it's positive just to say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I get you, man. I get you.
Yeah,
That strong
exactly.
energy. Man, I felt the exact same when the first time when I walked out of that barber
Yeah,
shop. I just
yeah,
felt so good that I'd done something that I was scared to do for a long time, right? And it sounds like you were the same.
yeah,
And very similarly, people can pick up on that energy.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's fantastic, man. Really, really amazing to hear. As we've heard your story, especially where you were, the mindset that you had, how you felt about yourself, how it was impacting your life, to now hear on the other side of taking that leap, the benefits you've got. That is why I first shared my story and now why I feel so passionate about helping people like yourself
Yes,
share those stories so that you too can help, men that are maybe still feeling that way or they're somewhere along that timeline to also, take those leaps, believe in themselves. Maybe, I think you said a really key thing about taking a step back and getting in tune with what you really want rather than
hmm,
so much worrying about what are people going to say, what are people in work going to think, really getting a sense of what you want. I want to extend
perfect.
that gratitude to yourself because
Thank you
without
very much.
without people like you to come and share their experience so openly and honestly, we couldn't have built this community here. Now you're a part of that. So amazing to hear
Yes.
your story. And thank you so much, man.
Thank you too, man. I'm so grateful to be a part of that, to share my story and hopefully help some guys to make the decision. Also, it's important, I think, maybe to say that you have to do this decision that suits you and that you want, like you said. That's the most important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. I agree. No, real pleasure, man. Thank you so
Thank
much.